Hey friends, we're back. It's Deb and Mom, and we're cooking up some soup today. Mom came up to visit. I appreciate your help. You bet. And today we're going to make 15 bean soup, and we're going to start making a couple of soups. We got to talking the other day, and we're like, oh, we eat soup every day for lunch, and Mom's like, we eat soup every day for lunch. So I thought maybe we could go together and make some soups and throw them in the freezer.
Good plan.
Good plan. So we'll see how that goes. This is our first time. And so we're making 15 bean soup. 15 bean soup comes in a bag like this. And we'll open this up in a minute. So let me walk you through the ingredients really quick. We're going to need beans, 15 beans. You'll find that at the grocery store in the beans section. We need some spices, and that is a bay leaf. I put 2 in just because they're kind of small. I like just a tiny touch of heat, so we have some red pepper flakes, Italian seasoning, and pepper. We may use some salt, but that won't come to the end. We'll check it out then. We're gonna need an onion, some carrots, celery, some cherry tomatoes. So this is like full of veggies, some spinach, and then some ham. I'm not gonna use that whole thing of ham, but it'll be full of veggies, plenty of protein. This is a yummy soup. So let me clean up my workspace here and we'll be right back. Okay, we're back. We just kind of had to rearrange a few things, make it easier to work here. So we're gonna start. Mom's gonna sort the beans. And I wanna show you something in there after she opens it. And when you get the beans, they're just gorgeous. But you want to sort them. And what do I mean by sorting them? Mom's going to pick through here and look for any, sometimes you'll find sticks, sometimes you'll find little dirt clods, and that's why we make sure we rinse them well. We're just going to sort through them and pick through it. And also, I'll let you hold that for a minute. When you open this, you're gonna find a packet. And some people use this packet. In this recipe, I do not use this packet. It's really full of like sodium and stuff, and I think we can do better with natural flavoring. So we're gonna toss this. Mom's gonna sort all this. Put it over here for you. And I'm gonna start slicing an onion. And so basically, we need equal amounts of vegetables. So we have like a cup of carrots, a cup of celery, a cup of onions, and that's the most time-consuming part of this recipe is just getting all the veggies ready. But it's worth it, I promise you. They're kind of loud, yeah. So when she's sorting, again, she's just looking for anything that's not supposed to be in your soup. And honestly, they're a lot better than they used to be about packaging and making sure that it's clean, but I still take the time, just a quick moment to do that. Off to the side, when we were talking, I had a couple things I forgot to mention. And one was water. We're gonna use water in the soup. You could use chicken broth if you'd prefer. But I think this has plenty of flavor without using chicken broth. But you do you. You could also use vegetable broth if you prefer. Kind of really whatever it is you're looking for. And remember when a while back, if you've watched many of my videos, we talk about knife skills. When it comes to knife skills, make the knife work for you. In other words, don't chop it down this way. That's gonna do 2 things. It's gonna dull your blade, and it's kind of sort of dangerous. But put your knife down and then just push it through the veggies. It's really a good way to slice with and have more control. Also holding your knife kind of halfway, because this is a big chef's knife. And it can get unwieldy if I'm holding it like way back here. So again, we're just gonna slice at this onion really quick. and just take our time with that. I'm gonna get my handy dandy scooper, scoop that off. I have a little garbage thing right in front of my board, so that works out great. And we also need to chop our celery. And when you're doing stuff like this, when you're making soup, I always try to make sure everything's gonna fit on a soup spoon, which sounds kind of silly when you say, well, of course that's what you want it to do, right? But it's not always something that you think about. So I got my celery, kind of chopped it up into bite-sized pieces, and I'm dicing that. And again, I put my knife down at the top and I'm just pushing it through.
And I've washed and checked out the beans.
Perfect, perfect. You know what we should do? I am gonna saute this first, and I didn't think, well, let me get a big bowl and we'll put the beans in a bowl. Would you mind putting them in there for me, please?
I didn't think about that, or I would have thought of it myself.
Yeah, I didn't think about it either. Okay, so those are done. I have my carrots, they are pre-washed. You can peel them or not peel them, that's totally up to you. Another thing, you know, you do you. Peeling them is gonna be a little prettier. It's not gonna affect the taste, not in the least. So the big part, I'm just dicing it in two. The smaller part, I'm gonna cut it into thirds. Again, just so it's all small enough where it's gonna fit on a spoon. In fact, that one's kind of big too.
I'm just gonna set those beans there.
Okay, perfect.
I'll chop up this ham.
All right, so Mom's getting busy with the ham. I am gonna start my burner. Might be a little loud, so we'll talk a little louder. But I want it over medium heat, and I want it warm enough because we're gonna saute the vegetables before we get started. So, almost done here. That one's a little bigger, so here we go.
And you are going to use this bone, right?
Yes, the bone, when you buy those ham steaks, you could do a couple of things. You could buy a smoked ham hock. They didn't have any at the store today. And instead we bought a ham steak, and it has this bone in it, and you're thinking, just throw that away. No, don't do that. Keep that, because it actually has a lot of flavor in it. So Mom's gonna kind of dice around that, and we're gonna use that in our soup. We'll just remove it before we're ready to serve. This is a good soup for like a Saturday to make. It takes about an hour and 15 minutes for it to cook on the stove. You could also make it in the crock pot. I have directions in the crock pot, and I'll put those below. So it's really, really easy to make. We're gonna do it on the stovetop today. So that's my olive oil, about a tablespoon in my pot, and it's getting pretty warm here. So I'm gonna add my veggies. I may not have chose the right pan for this, and might end up changing because this makes for a big bunch of soup, which is perfect for what Mom and I are doing. Okay, so I'm gonna let those kind of saute and do their thing. And let's see. Once this softens up a little bit, I'm going to add my seasonings. And again, my seasonings are Italian sausage, pepper, red pepper flakes. We're gonna add the bay leaves once we add all the liquids so they don't break. But I'm just gonna give this a few minutes, 3 to 5 minutes, soften the vegetables. Mom's busy cooking away, or dicing away. And we'll be back in just a sec. But the one thing I wanted to say, just a little tip for you, is you never want to add salt, extra salt to beans before they're done. You want to salt them at the end, because if you salt them at the beginning, when you're doing all your seasoning, it will actually toughen the beans. It takes them longer to finish. So anyway, we're gonna let these saute. We'll be back in a few.
And besides that, sometimes the ham is too salty.
Yeah, yeah. So if the ham is really salty, which probably is pretty
It could or
salty.
couldn't be, depends.
Yeah, yeah. Good point, Mom. We'll be back. Okay guys, we're back. This is sauteed for about 5 minutes. It's actually starting to smell really good. Let me show you here. See, you've got a little brown on the bottom of the pan. You want to scrape that because that equals flavor, and that nice sear we have on the veggies, that is exactly what we're looking for. When we add the water in, we're going to scrape the bottom of the pan. And this, come on, all the fun stuff of starch. Okay, at this point, I'm gonna add my seasonings. And Mom, if you wouldn't mind stirring that around for me. And we're gonna just kind of lightly chop the spinach. Again, into just bite-sized pieces, nothing too special. And add that to our pot as well.
Sure smells good.
Yeah, it does. Okay. I'm gonna toss in my tomatoes. And tossing them in now, they're gonna just like lightly burst before we start adding everything else, which is the next step.
Look how beautiful that is.
Isn't that pretty? Can you guys see that? That's pretty. That's a good meal right there. Okay, so next we're gonna add the beans. And I should have showed you, isn't that gorgeous? Aren't those pretty? And like I mentioned before, the neat thing about this is when that cooks, the smaller beans, because it takes like, an hour and 15 minutes or so, the smaller beans will actually break down and they'll get thick where the bigger beans stay whole. So it really is really good that way. And the ham. Okay. And last but not least, water. Ooh, I think we did good. We'll probably end up adding the water. So what we're gonna do now, it's really easy from here on out. We're gonna put the lid on this, we're gonna bring it to a boil, and then reduce it to a simmer. We're gonna keep the lid on it pretty much the whole time, maybe just cracked a little bit. We're gonna check it every now and then, we're gonna give it a stir, and as it continues to cook, if the water level reduces below the beans, we're gonna add more water. No big deal. We're gonna keep an eye on it about an hour and 15 minutes, and we'll be back. Oops, Mom reminded me I forgot to put my bay leaf in. So we're gonna put the bay leaf in, give it another stir. I moved it over to the stovetop. We'll see you in a few. Okay guys, we're back. We have our 15 bean soup and it is done. It smells wonderful. The beans have simmered. I don't know how well you can see this here, but the, gosh, it's like meaty and all kinds of good stuff in there. When you look, see that ham bone? Do you have a tongue?
I can get it.
Both of us are gonna reach in there with our fingers. I know this is super hot because I just took it out of the oven. And maybe a bowl. Or just put it in your, yeah. And so we're gonna pull that out. We're gonna look in here and find our bay leaf. And this is the one thing I swear, it always ends up in Dan's bowl every time, and I don't see it, so we're gonna fake it. I'll dig it out later. So some for me. Some for you. Yum. So we're gonna give it a try and see what we think.
Very, very good.
Yeah, the spinach adds a lot to the soup. It just gives it a lot more, I don't know, flavor there. And this is the time at the very end, you might want to taste this and go, yeah, I might need a little salt at this time. I'd probably add like a teaspoon of salt. I haven't done that yet, so I'll do that now. But as you can see, you know, the broth is like nice and rich. And we added water, I think 3 times as we were cooking this. So just keep an eye on it. Took about hour and 15 minutes, hour and a half, whatever it was on the stove. It's good.
If you had a little bit bigger pan, you could have put the water all in at once, but since we...
I did. I probably chose a pan that was a little too small. Guys, I think you're really gonna like that. That is yummy. So I look forward to it. Give it a try. Let me know what you think. Hit like and subscribe below. If you leave a comment, it helps us out a ton. We appreciate that. Make sure you go by the blog, bowlmeover.com. Check it out. Let me know if you have any questions or there's something you'd like to see here on YouTube. Give that a try.
It's good.
It's good. All right. We'll see you next time. Thanks so much. I appreciate you being here and I appreciate you watching. Deb from Bowl Me Over. Check it out at bowlmeover.com. See ya.